Everybody, it's Chris Lipper from On the Bus Sales Training, and this is our class on communication, which is chapter 19, I believe, in the book. So communication is 90%, I believe, is not heard. It's so much of the other stuff. It's how we say things more than what we say. And this is going to be interactive, so you guys can let me know if you agree or disagree. But it's so much more of how we say things versus what we say, and that is what's heard, if you know what I mean. So you need to smile. Me in particular, I'm horrible at that. But we need to smile and feel good about what we're saying, or because if we come across stern, I don't know, it's not perhaps the message we're trying to give. And I think that communication is part of everything that we do, and it's how we're perceived. And remember that people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And think about, everything you've learned from in our introduction classes with body language, your presentation skills, the way you dress, etiquette, the use of different introductions from a 10-second to a 30-second to a 2-minute, the asking questions versus giving answers and being them focused. And then following up appropriately. That's all part of communication. Asking them how they would like to be followed up with. Does that make sense so far? I'm just going to go back and see you guys from my notes. Yep, we're all good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So communication is about who? This is interactive. So who is communication about?
Them.
That's right. Them, right? It's never about us. And it occurred to me, so that's not just true with people. It's even true with animals. I spent a lot of time this weekend with dogs for some reason. And even dogs, when you communicate, it's about them, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not about us. It's not rub my belly, it's rub their belly, But I think it works even on that level. The what is, what we say versus how we say it, when everything about it, right? So, or where rather, everywhere. Think about it. Difficult people are difficult everywhere. Wonderful people are wonderful everywhere, right? That's all part of communication. Loud people are loud everywhere. Wallflowers might be wallflowers everywhere. I think we are who we are in most situations, at least if we're comfortable in our own skin. But think about those things, the who, what's, and where's.
And that's, Chris, too, and that's the challenge with me, is I don't want to change who I am, right? Just to,
Correct.
I'm low key, I'm not gregarious, I smile, but,
So what the other people on here have been coached at and understand is something called DISC, where there are D's, I's, S's, and C's in the world. And a large part of DISC is knowing who we are and how to bring out different quadrants of DISC in different situations. And that's part of that. So D's, just to give you the short version, are very direct and to the point. They're almost abrupt, and some consider them rude. But they're generally laser accurate, and they like one-word answers. I'm a D, so I represent the D's of the world, and I've toned it down considerably over the years. But you'll get one-letter answers out of me. Somebody may send me this long, fluffy text, and I'll just write back K. Got it. I hear what you're saying. I understood. No reason to have any more conversation. We're kind of in the moment all the time and on to the next. Those are D's. I's are very colorful and very out there, and they use their hands, and they're very excited, and they have big smiles. You notice when they're in a room, they're wonderful to be around in small doses for a D, but they're just high energy all the time, and they make great presenters. Lois has a lot of I in her, right? And ID is a good mix. None of those is who you're talking about. So you and Sarah both have a lot of S in you, right? That means you're stable, you're nurturing. It's hard to tell if you're having a good day or a bad day. You're just you every day. You guys would make great card players, you know? And then there's the C's that are the analytical ones. And that's a difficult mix when you have an SC. So you've got somebody who doesn't show a lot of emotion and they're thinking a lot and they're thinking about what they're going to say. What they say is memorable, is like, you'll never forget it. It's life-changing, memorable, right? But it's just, and this is just who we are. But the point is that that is part of what we're communicating, is who we are. And nobody's saying anybody has to change, but I think we need to be aware of it and aware of our communication styles. And there could be opportunities to turn up certain areas in different situations just to get the attention we want, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So when is always. All right. Sorry, I lost my place in my notes. Yeah, a lot of times we don't even know when we're doing it. So, you know, most of the time, if we're just who we are and doing our thing, people are watching and noticing. So we need to somewhat be aware of that a lot of times. This is also how genuine people are pretty wonderful to have in our lives, because they don't put on faces, if you know what I mean. But it's all part of communication. So how we communicate is a real important one also. So talking with our hands, I don't know if you've ever seen this, and it's weird. Like there's some people now that talk with their hands over their mouth, and that's really hard. Wearing masks now during COVID, it's hard to communicate. It's hard to be sarcastic because you can't see the smiles. You know, it's I've also noticed that communication styles during COVID has changed. That I went for a walk yesterday. I go on a track up in Booton at the RFL Fields, and it's a 1.5 mile loop. And so you do 2 or 3 loops, and it's a good walk. You know, if you can get 3 loops in an hour, that's a good pace and a good loop. And I'll say hi to everyone as they pass. But most people are looking down and away and won't engage. There's no eye contact, there's no smile, there's no wave. You know, you can't get COVID from saying hi. You can't get COVID from making eye contact. You know, I don't understand that mentality. You know, we're all both on the far side of the track from each other passing. It's just, hey, good morning, but nothing. You know, and it's weird. It's weird during the checkouts, you know, with these people, you know, when you're checking out and someone's ringing you up and everybody's wearing a mask. It's a different kind of exchange. I just ordered a mask that's clear. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to work, how to feel. It's got filters on the side, you know, but I want people to see that I'm smiling and I'm engaged with them, because you know, I'm dry enough, and if you can't see the smile, it's difficult. But that's just part of communication, you know. All right, so talking with our hands and doing this kind of stuff or this kind of stuff, it all sends a message. You know, I don't understand this thing. It's almost like somebody saying what I have to say isn't important. Of course it's important. Your outgoing voicemail, that's another communication opportunity. What does your outgoing voicemail say? You know, we used to tell people to smile when you record them. Smile when you talk on things that are being recorded, because you can hear the smile, if that makes sense. And again, it's your personality. I understand, but we're talking about a 10-second outgoing voicemail. Fake it. You know what I mean? Make it inviting. I am one who believes that when given the opportunity to leave a voicemail, you should, because it's uninterrupted, right? You get to say what you wanted to say, and you've already gotten to the beep. You might as well leave the voicemail, right? But take advantage of that outgoing voicemail. The high I's are going to tell you the date and the weather and have a wonderful day and all this fluffy stuff. The S's are, they may just leave it where it's just the phone number. You've reached 201-555-1212, leave a message kind of thing, you know, but own it. Email signatures are other areas of communicating that you may not think of. Own your email signature. So I mix up my links all the time. So every month we make a recording and we send it out. And that link to that recording of our upcoming events goes in my email signature. Why not? Right? It's just a YouTube link. Now, if you have too many links, you do get caught up in spam filters and things like that. But own your email signature. Put something of value in there where people can get to know you and want to communicate with you. At least that's my take on that. All right. Hand gestures we talked about. Communication has nothing to do with what we were saying to a point. So eye contact's another big one. Even on Zoom, you know, if somebody's looking down at their screen and they're multitasking, it's a bit of a turnoff, right? That's the problem with Zoom for me, is it's too easy to multitask. It's one thing when a kid comes in, a dog comes in, a cat walks across the screen, but it's another if somebody's got their device in front of them or whatever it might be. It's a turnoff for me, and it doesn't make me know, like, and trust them, right? Let me go back to my notes. So meditate on this. What are some of the subtle ways that we communicate, and what does it say about us? Is this the message we want? So think about that. So Lois is a great communicator, right? She's engaging. She speaks well. She's articulate. There's never a lot of ums. She has a nice smile. She is somebody I would like to work with. And I am sure that is because she has a theatrical background and she learned some of this from being on stage. I do a lot of work with musicians, and they're most, not all, are very good at looking up and almost above the crowd where everybody in the room feels like they're being made eye contact with. That's a gift. The insecure ones, the ones that aren't as good at that, are constantly looking at their feet.
It can be taught, though, just so you know. I'm not, just so you know, and that everybody else knows, I trained, this is not, and public speaking does not come natural to me. It's something that I've worked on, and it's something that can be learned and can be taught. So just because you suck at it now doesn't mean you always have to suck at it. You can, if you wanted to, make a huge change in how you present and how you speak to other people if you work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm more of an S than I am an I. An adaptive I. My I comes out because it's my way of getting myself to feel comfortable in front of other people, but it's not something that comes naturally. I've worked on it.
An SI is a wonderful mix. It's a great mix. And that's why you're a great mom and you're patient and you're a great teacher, because you can be engaging, but at the same time, patient and stable without letting your emotions get the best of you. Where Ds have a hard time with that, where it's all just the emotion, you know, kind of thing. I've lost my train of thought where we were going with this now. But I want you to think about what subtle changes you can make. And so there was a comment made earlier, this is where I was going, that when we were doing the introductions, that mine sounded a little presentational, right? And there are times where we are presenting, but we don't want to sound robotic. We don't want to be flat and monotone. Again, it's easy to pick on me. I feel I'm guilty of that all the time, that I'm flat and somewhat robotic. So how do we make that change? And I think the answer is just to have a conversation, right? Make it conversational. Be aware of your hands. If you are on one of these calls, try not to have your hands in front of your mouth. Let people see your smile. Don't block the sound either. But how many times do you see this kind of thing where people are talking like that? It's not inviting, you know? Give them your eyes. And so what I've learned also is we don't want to look at the screen. We want to look at the camera.
Mhm.
And that's a bit of a difference also. So now I'm looking at the camera and now I'm looking at the screen. And I'm sure there's a difference, right?
Mhm.
So also my glasses can play a role because I've got 3 different prescriptions. And it's weird. I've had to figure out the height of the machine to get it to all work. But this is how we're communicating these days. You know, be aware of your backgrounds, be aware of what you're wearing. You know, I tend to not wear t-shirts on these calls. I'm always wearing a work shirt. I'm a little insecure about my background and I may have to change it because it's a piece of artwork and it's showing a bank robbery. I don't know if that's the message I want to give, you know, but if you see that piece of art, it's a street scene. And how do I get that on there? And there's music being played up top and down below. People are robbing a bank. And I don't know if that's the message I want to give, but it's part of communicating. Now, it's a nice piece of art and everything else, but think about what you're portraying with what we're doing on these little boxes, right? Any questions or comments? That's it? All right, well, that's our class on communication. But again, the takeaway for me is the outgoing voicemail and the email signature are something in our control. Those are easy. Those are things that aren't out in public. We don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing or anything like that or being perceived wrong. These are easy. So listen to when was the last time you listened to your outgoing voicemail? That's something you can do. Sarah, how's your outgoing voicemail? Is it inviting?
Not a clue.
Okay. All right, good. So yeah, I'm sure you'll listen to it today, right?
I don't know. I hate the sound of my own voice.
Well, then have somebody else record it.
I just changed mine.
If someone else record it?
Yeah. Give them the script. Have somebody else say it.
Oh, I think that's weird, though.
If you don't like the sound of your voice, I like your
I
voice.
just don't want to listen to it. I don't care if you listen to it. I just don't want to listen to it.
Okay. But maybe that's something we can do for each other is listen to each other's outgoing voicemails and see what each other think. But also, please think about your email signature. That's a big one. Emails have no end life.
What are your thoughts on putting quotes in emails? I see people putting some
If it's
quotes.
short, I love it. You know, if somebody wanted to quote Napoleon Hill and gave a one-liner or something like that, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I think that would be great. Now, if they're going to quote Donald Trump, you got to be careful there, right? Because some people will like it and some won't. So you got to be a little careful about who you're quoting and what they're saying. But yeah, I listen, a quote a month, that'd be interesting. And that's something you can own. That's part of your branding. Why don't you do that? You could give a tip a month.
Mhm.
Just a one-liner. Lois, you could do that. You know, the August tip of the month is eat more watermelon. I don't know. Something like that. All right. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up? Okay. We'll stop the recording. Thank you.